Well, this was a long time coming. I always wanted a fairy tale game since I watched this series years ago. And when I did watch it, I was thinking that this franchise should be made or have a video game based on it. And we have it here for the PS4. I'm sure there are other fairy tale games out there, but this is the one that hit the mainstream. So is this supposedly terrible anime gonna get the best treatment? Let's find out. Well, firstly, this game is developed by Gust and published by Koei Tecmo. Never heard of these companies. This game took me by surprise because we always have a crap rendition of other anime games, like every warrior-esque genre that is overdone to the T. The only anime game that is really good in terms of presentation is the Storm series, the Naruto Storm series, and that to me is hilarious, as Fairy Tail in terms of video game is better than all the other franchises out there, like these. And don't tell me it isn't so. And with that being said, the gameplay of Fairy Tail is simple. It's a turn-based RPG, thank god, and the graphics is okay. It's not the worst, it isn't perfect, just in the middle, and the story takes place at the end of Tenro Island arc, all the way to the Tartarus arc, which is one of my favourite arcs of Fairy Tail, and in between is a controversial Grand Magic Games arc. However, it's a perfect way to start the game as you have to rebuild Fairy Tail again and gain notoriety. Another funny thing is that people of Fiora don't know Fairy Tail, but there's a big ass building right in the middle of Magnolia that says Fairy Tail. But if the game started at the first arc of the story and stopped at the end of Tenro Island arc, then that would have been awful since the manga of Fairy Tail is complete. And also in the story there's an epilogue that skims through a lot of the arcs after Tartarus arc. You will get lost in it, like the Avatar stuff is poorly done. You can read the synopsis of the previous arc via encyclopedia if you get lost, which is likely you will because this game isn't friendly for newcomers. And I think there's even a typo in the dialogue for some, like the Celestial King. I'm not sure if that's a speech pattern, but there was one other, but I didn't write that on my notes. I did, but anyways, there's an OVA bikini scene in the game, which is a fan service of course. It wouldn't be Fairy Tail if it didn't have it, and a very funny rank mission. I swear this was in an anime, but it's when everyone turns into Ichie men. Like that's the only time I laughed. The dialogue is atrocious, some don't even have voiceovers, and not only that, characters are introduced but they aren't shown, so you see whoever's talking just talk to themselves and is really lazy. And that is another problem I had, characters being introduced off screen or they're mentioned but aren't shown, like when Flair threatened Lucy that if she moves she will hurt Asuka. Who is Asuka? I know who she is. Do you? Probably not. If this is your first exposure to the game, or you hate Fairy Tail and you want to see if the game is any good or bad, and Asuka's name is in the terminology section, not in the character section, so that implementation of introducing some characters got me out of the immersion. Plus the Grand Magic game introduces a shit ton of characters, so good luck. The cutscenes are horrible, I have to say it. The main cutscene is decent, but there are like what, 17 of them in a 30+ hour story game. Well, it took me that long because I'm engrossed in the game, but the cutscene is lazy. Every animation is stiff, the expression is like they have stickers on the faces. I can tell that the developers didn't care about the presentation except for the gameplay, so I'm gonna tell you what Fairy Tail has to offer. And right off the bat, this game reminds me of, if I'm gonna compare it to other turn-based RPGs, is the Tale of series. Not as good of course, but my mind was thinking about the time I've played Zestiria and Berseria. In the world of Fairy Tail, everyone has unique magic that I never seen at the time when I watched it for the first time. I'll talk about those when I talk about the individual playable characters. Now everyone has unique magic and move attacks. They all don't feel the same, and the more powerful attack you use, the more magic it takes. Pretty standard stuff, right? The enemies spawn in a grid system, 3x3, so 9 grid boxes in total, and every attack have their own pattern. Think of it like Tetris. Natsu's weak attack uses 1 block and his other attacks uses 3 or 4 that are on the edge, leaving the middle open, so the more block it has, the more you can hit your targets efficiently. At the side of the screen you'll see Fairy Tail logo thing. When that is maxed out, press R1 to perform chain attacks with your party members to obliterate everything. Plus you can open some areas to explore by destroying debris, but in order to do that you need to do some serious damage. But back to the magic attacks, sometimes you can use extreme finishes with the help of support characters like Makarov, Kana and Mavis, and see their overwhelming power like Fairy Law and Kana Glitter. And at the same time, when you're losing in a battle, by chance you can get help via support characters from Makarov, Mavis and Exceed Kitties to boost your health, magic or revive fallen party members. These characters aren't playable by the way, and party members can use Awakening to get out of risky situation, but keep in mind, in order to awaken, you need to receive some serious damage or not do a follow-up attack when you use another character, cause that will drain your Awakening meter. so you need to think and strategize. Only some party members can visibly transform, like the Dragon Slayers, and get a certain amount of health and magic back for a counter attack. Keep in mind that you can somehow lose the fight if you run out of magic, like I did for some reason. I don't know, I got confused. And when you do the chain attack, you can perform Unison Raid by pressing R1 for every party members. Only some have flashy cutscenes like Grey and Juvia or Natsu and Lucy, you know, collaboration attacks that make sense. When you first play the game, you start with 3 party members till later when you have up to 5, and then combat becomes super easy. Like there's no challenge to it. And in battle, if the animation attacks become tedious, and some of them are long as hell, you can turn that off, making the fight quicker, and you can auto battle. But if you start first, you have to attack first manually, then the game will do the rest for you, which is weird. Like do an auto attack first, or don't do it at all, you know what I mean. Anyways, you can level your party members to the max, and that being rank 10, and get cool perks. Like Lucy can start the battle by doing a sexy pose to give her a chance of attack, because in the anime, her sexy poses doesn't work. Shame. And everyone has different ability in the level up ranking system, and you can boost their stats by using Lacrima to boost health attacks, defense, speed, anything, ranging from level 1 to level 5, and you can upgrade your slots to have 6 for all party members when you level them up. And thank god this game is semi-open world. It's like Tale of series, open world but much smaller. You can explore some parts of Fior like Forest, Mountain, Magnolia, Crocus, the capital city of Fior, and the Tenro Island. There are some areas you visit but aren't explorable, they're just there for the story. Again, a shame. You can bond with 2 party members to get 3 perks for all characters outside Magnolia and Crocus. Well, it's where a guild is, or where Fairy Tail is staying at the moment. And also the game doesn't tell you this, or I haven't been paying attention, but you can run and switch party members while free roaming around, and that's it in terms of combat and open world. But there is more. Remember, you're in a guild, and you have to start from the bottom again and upgrade and popularize your guild, Fairy Tail. So in the guild you have a book that oversees everything, like there's a guild ledger to see where you rank out of all the guild, starting at the bottom of the food chain, while Sabretooth is at the top. So you have to put Fairy Tail back to its former glory. To do that, you need to do the story and guild request quest, starting from D rank all the way to Mighty S rank. To do S rank missions, you need to finish the S rank exam again, as it was interrupted by the Dark Guild Hades, or how the Japanese pronounce it, Hades, and also Iconologia as well, can't forget the dragon. So completing the quest, you have a choice to either spawn back to the guild. This is good and bad, because if you have multiple missions that are in the same area, it's best to do it all at once, right? Well, my stupid brain always picks the return button, and sometimes it doesn't register when I move the cursor, so I'll spawn back to the guild when that wasn't my intention in the first place, and then I have to go through the tedious cycle of going back and forth. The other one I talked about, and that was the level up ranking system for individual characters. And lastly, probably my favourite, is the guild upgrade. Now at the start of the story, Fairy Tail has lost its original guild building, and you have to stay at this crappy one till later. Through the plot you get it back, and you see the progression of how everything looks. I like that. So what do you upgrade, by the way? These upgrades aren't there just to look nice, it serves a purpose. So you have a laboratory. With this you can make lacrima with materials you find out in the wild with the help from Levy, item shops to buy essential stuff like a revive health magic potion, as well as selling some stuff with the help from Lisana. Upgrade the request board to get more rank missions and progress from D rank to S rank with the help from Mira Jane. Material room is to, well, get materials. Library room is that when your party member isn't active on your team, they will get experience points. Kitchen will raise your HP and MP. Bar counter is done by Kana. She can make you drinks that will temporarily boost your stats. Table sets will boost your bonds with individual party members. Stage is where you can party with all your guildmates by using party link, but it will cost you. Pool is where you use link hunts, that is basically call certain amounts of monsters to you by pressing R1 and take them out. This is also useful for grinding to level 99. Not only that, you can remodel the guild, not visually but just get more perks, like you can get discount on shops and get more money when you finish a quest. And yeah, this system of the guild is too much. It's insane. In a good way, I enjoyed it. You can even duel with your guild members and get rewards when you win, keeping it true to the Fairy Tail formula. I will say that Lucy is funny and she's pretty weak, and I challenged her to a fight and she says that she isn't gonna lose, so I basically one-shotted her. That was hilarious. So that's it for the gameplay and open world stuff. The music is very nostalgic to the anime. I'm not sure if the soundtrack of the game is the same as the anime or is his own interpretation of it, but nonetheless it's excellent. The music is very river dance-ish, you know, like Irish Celtic kind of tone. And another thing I found out, which was a treat, was that the composer of Fairy Tail, the anime, is the same composer as Naruto. Like what? Both of the OST are god tier level. Honestly, the best of all the animes I've watched. If I made a list of my favorite OST, Naruto and Fairy Tail are definitely in my top 5, and that is with absolute certainty. If you're a bit lost in the story, you can enter Lucy's house and just browse the encyclopedia about the story, characters and all sorts. Plus you can change your outfits as well. It's strange as there isn't much to it. Like I was hoping with each arc you get more costumes. They even added a photo mode, in which I dabbled a little bit on. It's very customizable, having a lot of frames, stickers and everything to fit the perfect mood. But with all that being said, it's time to talk about the playable characters. Now as for this game, the roster isn't that bad to be honest. There are support characters that you can't play, like Leon, Flare, Ultia and more. But as for the playable characters, there are Natsu. He's the main character of the show who is a fire dragon slayer. At some point of the story you can even eat flames, so it's pretty standard. He has 3 transformations and he has a cat called Happy. Lucy is amazing in this game as she's a celestial user that can summon almost every zodiac spirit that are unique in their own way, and the reason why I like her is that not only can she summon them, but she can change her outfit as well, as a couple of celestial spirits aren't really summons. Plus you can get Aquarius back because, you know, the story and all that. And one thing I like is that when you use Aquarius, just like in the anime, Lucy always gets caught up in her attacks, so in this game is no different. And every time you summon Aquarius and she does her vortex attack, it's always nice to see Lucy spinning around as she's confused as why she's getting attacked as well. But you yourself, you don't get damaged, so it's just for comedic effect. And you can summon the Celestial King, so yeah, that was cool. Gray is Natsu's rival, I guess. He's a make user, specializes on ice make, contrast to Natsu fire. He can only make objects though, like hammer, swords and stuff like that, whereas Leon, his other rival, can make ice animals. And in the last arc of the game, he obtains Ice Devil Slayer magic, so he's a Devil Slayer to boot. Urza is, well, she's Urza. She's a strong female warrior and sometimes very comical, and her magic is Requip. I like her unique outfits that serve a different purpose and has different elemental attacks. I knew that if the anime was gonna make it into a video game, it would be cool to implement this magic, and it is cool. Plus she has a Nakagami armor that isn't controversial at all. There's a cool moment in the Grand Magic games, is when you have to fight 100 monsters. It was intense and I really thought I was gonna lose. Wendy is a Sky Dragon Slayer or Wind Slayer. She's mostly a support character in this game and in the anime. She can boost your status, like heal you and remove bad status effects for you. I like her spotlight in the Tartarus arc, but it isn't translated very well in this game. Plus she has a cat called Kala or Shaduru, however you pronounce that. Juvia is a water user and a crazy lovable person. That is probably one of my favourite female characters in Fairy Tail, as her crave for Grey is too hilarious in the show. She even has an attack in where she's too busy thinking about Grey and then she realises that she's in a battle and attacks with the water mixed with love hearts. I really like the detail of these characters. Plus I also like the way she speaks. She always speaks in the third person. Gajiel is an Iron Dragon Slayer who can use metal based attacks and was a former enemy of Fairy Tail alongside with Juvia. I really like his design. It reminds me of Pain from Naruto. It's really cool. Plus he can sing really well. It's shocking, like seriously. Ichia is the face of the guild called Blue Pegasus that is mainly just like a host club kind of thing. You only see beautiful men and women. As for this intense person, Ichia, men. I was so happy that he was playable in this game. Just make sure that he doesn't sniff you. Oh, and also his attacks are based on perfume or perfume that makes him transform into a roided giant, as well as giving him status boost. Kagura is the face of another guild called Mermaid Heel that is exclusive for female only. Her attacks are sword based as she has a huge katana, but she doesn't unsheath it in the context of the story unless it's someone she wants to kill. And also she's a brother of Simon or Simon, the only character to die in Fairy Tail and not return in any shape or form. I also forgot to mention is that I think she's a gravity user, if I remember that right. Sting is a second leader of Sabertooth Guild and is a 3rd generation White Dragon Slayer. 3rd generation Dragon Slayer is basically when a person is trained by the dragon and has eaten dragon lacrima crystals. His white attacks are like holy attacks, and he is a controversial character in our Fairy Tail and is the least favourite for me. He also has a cat called Lecter who is ugly as fuck. Rogue is another Sabertooth member and is another 3rd generation Shadow Dragon Slayer. He is Sting's tag team partner, and not much is to say about Rogue other than he's very quiet, and he again has a cat that is adorable called Frosh, who wears a pink frog onesie. Mira Jane is a takeover magician from Fairy Tail and is the face of Fairy Tail via the Weekly Sorcerer magazine as being the most sexy female in the guild. Her takeover is basically demonic transformation, which is sick. She's a few Fairy Tail member that is really powerful, in the same level as Urza and Laxus. She can summon her brother Elfman, who has Beast takeover in battle by turning into Sailor. It's a shame you don't use Lisana Animal takeover, but nonetheless Mira Jane is a cool character. Sheria is from the guild called Lamia Scale, the same guild that Leon is in, but he isn't playable. She's a God Slayer, a Wind God Slayer who can kill a god, kinda like Wendy Wind Dragon Slayer magic. Sheria is all about love, that is it. Jalal is a former enemy of Fairy Tail and a longtime friend of Urza's. Their relationship at first was intense. As you learn what happened, fast forward and things smooth over. They are cute together, especially Urza's mannerism around him. Also, something that is cool in this game, and I was wondering how they're gonna implement this, is that Jalal can use Mr. Gan's magic and his outfits, since they both are kinda similar. So that was nice, as Mr. Gan was one of my favourite characters in Fairy Tail, and the hype around him pays off. Laxus is a 2nd generation Dragon Slayer whose elements is lightning. Strange enough, in this game there isn't a lightning element, so his attack inflicts fire. Strange. And the 2nd generation Dragon Slayer are those who just eat dragon lacrima, but they're not trained by dragons. He is a grandson of Makarov, the leader of Fairy Tail, and the son of Ivan, the founder of Raventail, a dark guild. At first, Laxus was the enemy of Fairy Tail and was excommunicated, but slowly he came to learn the power of friendship and uses his immense powers to protect the guild. And lastly, Gildas. Never heard that joke before. But in all honesty, he doesn't even look like Shanks, especially now in 100-Year Quest, the sequel to Fairy Tail, which is really good. It reminds me of Fairy Tail before the Tenro Island arc, as Gildas tried to do a 100-Year Quest but failed, as his left leg and left arm as well as organ were in disarray. But he is the ace of Fairy Tail, the #1 strongest in Fairy Tail. His power is Crush, that disassembles everything he touches, and if he touches you, then you turn into a chibi, like 100 chibi version of himself. And getting Gildas playable was not easy. You have to be level 99 to even get a chance to defeat him. He has 2 phases, and the best way to win is to transform into a Fire Dragon King mode and beat his first phase while in transformation, because once he goes to phase 2 he does a super powerful attack and chances are you probably will die, and using Awakening you absorb fire attacks so you receive half the damage. So yeah, that's all the characters that are playable. Like I said, some of them aren't, like Leon, Flare, Ultia and Minerva. I don't know why they do that, but I hate this stupid practice done in anime games. So my opinion about the game is that the story is well, they tried their best but failed. The gameplay and the guild mechanic is really good. That is the best part of Fairy Tail, and this game is made for the fans of the anime. I will say that this game is better than Pirate Warriors, Gintama, Black Clover, 7 Deadly Sins. All those games are basically the same, so there isn't any uniqueness out of those, and is better than My Hero One's Justice because it is. And honestly, it's my 2nd favorite out of the anime games that I've played or seen, because the Warrior games doesn't catch my interest in the slightest. The music is good, and I like how they incorporated their characteristic into the battle system, you know, giving it more life rather than just being a zombie just attacking. Everyone is fun to play as and unique. You know their personalities through the attacks, and the roster could be better. If they're gonna be sequel, then hopefully we have a lot more characters and more costumes to go with it. The random enemy you encounter throughout the open world is just lazy. Most of them are just different variants of Elfman's beast mode, and I hate that stupid wolf. And there's one more thing I want to say before I finish this review, is that if you dislike Fairy Tail because of friendship when you only watched one arc, then it's invalid. Imagine I say I hate One Piece or Hunter x Hunter because of good story and foreshadowing, and when I watch it, instead of me enjoying the good story, I find little nitpicks here and there. I mean, Fairy Tail does have power of friendship. I don't mind if it's a side characters doing it, but the main villain of the arc and the main hero Nasu should be free of that, and unfortunately they're not. But I don't mind because that's the Fairy Tail formula. If other animes did it and that's not their main pillars, then I understand why. And the only message Fairy Tail preaches is about friendship. Some characters don't fall into that fray, but people don't tend to focus on those characters as much. There's a reason why I like Grey, because he lost his teacher, his teacher's daughter, and his father, and all of these aren't through the power of friendship. And the way he obtained Devil Slayer magic, again, wasn't through the power of friendship neither. And Wendy is another one of my favourites. She's not a fighter, but she has potential. Case in point, the Tartarus arc, where she obtains Dragon Force and wins the fight herself. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, share, subscribe and comment, and you'll see me in the next video. Bye now.